I was never I wasn't on this particular jury, but there's some things that need to be talked about. And it just so happened that today's other story, had we been doing all the stories that other churches are doing, happens to be the story of the Good Samaritan. This is how it goes, though. There was this lawyer, and he said to Jesus, "What do I have to do to get life everlasting?" Which meant to live in the here and now, understanding the presence of God here. And Jesus says, "Well, what have you been taught?" And the lawyer said, "To love God with all my heart, mind, and soul, and to love my neighbor as myself." And Jesus said, "Right. Now go and do it." To which point the lawyer says, "Who's my neighbor?" So there's a 17-year-old kid named Trayvon, and he was at a Quickie Mart, and he was getting a Slurpee and some stuff to eat. Skittles. Just to make the parable perfect. It was a little cold out, so he had his hoodie up. He was on his way home through his neighborhood. And something terrible happened. And he never showed up at home. So I started thinking about neighborhood watches. And I think that neighborhood watches, I think generally the concept is good. Because it's really about being a neighborhood. And to be a neighborhood, you need to know your neighbors. Right? I mean, we need to know who lives next to us. We need to know the various peoples. We need to eat with them. We need to hang out with them. Actually, our mayor is doing a great job, I think it's on Friday nights when there's this whole group of food stands that get together in neighborhoods and people just come out and eat together. And then you see who lives there. I think that's the true nature of a neighborhood watch. I think that it's all about love. I think that the problem that's happened, not just with this neighborhood in Florida, but with many, many neighborhoods, is that it's about fear and the unknown. So, there's this guy I know. Here's a surprise, he happens to be a therapist, right? And he was trying to explain the difference between feelings and emotions. Okay? Difference between feelings and emotions. He said there are lots and lots of feelings. Love, pain, anger, lust, hurt. And every feeling, you can say, this is why I feel this way. I am angry because, I am hurt because, I really like this person because. Two emotions, he says. Love and fear. So I've been thinking about this for a long, long time. Because his definition of an emotion is something that ultimately you can't explain. Here's a great example. For those people who are married or who are in some sort of relationship. Man, I hate when that does that. And you say to your partner, I love you. Now, somebody can say, well, why do you love that person? And you can give a whole list of reasons about what they can do. They cook well, they make sure that my shirts are clean, we work well together, we enjoy going on vacation, but ultimately, those are about things. If we were to say, really, seriously, why do you love this person? There's no answer. It's just, I do. It's just, I do. Same thing happens with fear. There's lots of things we're afraid of, right? I'm afraid of spiders because I got bit when I was a kid and it really hurt. I don't know. I'm afraid of various many things. But ultimately, when we talk about fear, we cannot put our finger on what we're really afraid of. So I was thinking about what this guy had to say, and thinking, if this is true, then I should be able to find this biblically for me to be able to support this. And I realized that what Jesus teaches about is love and fear. That's it. In fact, there's even a time when he says that perfect love casts out all fear. Right? It's in there. You can look it up. Jesus is about this love thing and not this fear thing. And so when it comes to this Samaritan from that story today, or the Sanfordian, ultimately, although our feelings might be about some fear in interacting with somebody that we don't know, who are different from us, who we're not sure what they're all about, ultimately, Jesus says, let your emotion of love override it all. Because you can overcome feelings with emotions. You can overcome feelings with emotions. Because there's something in our hearts, deep down and embedded in that. At men's group yesterday, we were talking about, what's going to happen if there's a decision made in Florida. And we had no clue. Something's going to happen. There's going to be conversations that have to be had. Whatever those conversations are. And Florida may seem like a long ways away. But I think that this is going to be potentially one of those discussions that sweeps across a nation and across faith communities. Because the people, and you may or may not know this, but the guy from the Department of Justice, who's been in his position for 30 years, and works with communities, the people who we went to in Florida were the pastors and faith members. Because they were the ones that were going to have influence about this discussion. He was there at the very beginning when Trayvon was killed. I guarantee you that he's there this morning, talking with these same ministers and parishioners, because something's going to happen. And all that we can do, I believe,